Welcome to AFL Today's Round 8 review, kind of almost finished show, because we are here before the Q Clash because Queensland in their infinite wisdom have a public holiday tomorrow. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly. I'm joined by two other blokes whose teams also won this weekend. First time this year, I believe, that all three panelist teams have won, because the stats guy is in here because, let's be honest, North Melbourne, they don't win. I'm joined, as I said, by Marcus Bazzano, who had a pulsating win on Thursday night.
Pulsating and frustrating. I think Stats guy is still wiping away some tears that he will have to do for not only being hot, but also the Bell's Hot Chicken punishment, which will be on Tuesday. So check the socials out for that.
Yes.
We'll talk about more of that later. And also, Leo Mullaly, just a standard push through the covers for 4 there by Hawthorn with an easy 70-odd point win.
Yeah, g'day, Alex. I'm feeling good and welcome back. You've been away, so yeah, good to have you back with the lads.
I've timed it well. I really timed it well. Missed last week after the capitulation against Gold Coast, where I was still in Hong Kong, thank God. Snuck off to Wagga for a few days and got to watch the game on the way home. So it was quite good. It was a great day. Shout out to Did the Swans win, because he missed the second half of the Swans game today, but he's here now. As said, we are on YouTube and Facebook. Anything else, Leo?
I think those two.
Those two. Yeah. So if you get in the comments tonight, the best comment, we'll read them out, have some fun along the shows. We've got basically bang on an hour to get through this show, but the best comment is going to win an AFL Today shirt.
Yeah.
We all forgot to wear them because...
I'm saving it for Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm saving it.
Saving it for Tuesday. Okay. I've been away for 2 weeks. I don't know what is going on. Did the Swans win? Thank Christ for the stats, boy. You guys didn't do the cinnamon challenge. I personally voted for that. I'm very disappointed.
I think we all did. I think this whole couch did.
Yeah, okay. So we got outvoted by a lot of people there. But as I said, round 8 is almost done. So if you are watching along on YouTube or Facebook, please get along to our Twitter and TikTok and follow us there as well. And if you are on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe and notifications bell. So anytime we do a video, it does come up on your feed. Tonight, we will be doing the ladder check after this. So we will be back after the Q Clash to wrap that up and do the ladder check. Yep. So for people who are currently listening to this or watching this on Monday morning, we're going to be doing it like 4 hours time. So we've got all of that going on. But we may as well rip straight into the round 7 results. We've got an hour. This could go absolutely anywhere. Round 7. I said earlier in the week that Thursday and Friday could be the worst Thursday and Friday ever. It didn't let me down, because it absolutely was, where on Thursday night, Zach Merritt held on 9-11-65 to North Melbourne 9-8-62. Get into it, Marcus.
Do we have to cover this game?
I mean,
do we have to? Can we just skip to? I think the footy started on Saturday at Mar Stadium in Ballarat.
No, what about the first quarter though? The first quarter started well.
First quarter was on fire, and I'm like,
what happened after that?
I'm like, oh, here we go. We could win this game by 10 goals. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be an easy watch. And then basically as soon as our work gang got to the game, that's when it started going downhill. So I reckon I only saw about 5 Essendon goals for the entire game.
That's pretty great.
Essendon started well, but only kicked 3 after quarter time. But how do you win a game of football by only kicking 3 goals after quarter time? I think it was 1 in each
You play
quarter.
North Melbourne.
There were a lot of points. I feel like Essendon missed some really gettable shots late in the game too.
You know, it's a game that isn't filled with many highlights because it wasn't the game I was covering this weekend. I watched the KO Mini, where half of the KO Mini is the first quarter and then they show behinds.
Yep.
Yeah, geez. I didn't know they showed behinds in the KO Mini.
well, if you've seen my social clip on TikTok where I wore the Essendon toddler Guernsey, I was basically like that. I was playing under 10s footy for the majority of the game. It was a bit of a poor watch until the last final moments. North Melbourne, credit to them, they actually played quite well. Probably deserved the win. Got on top in clearances, inside 50s, beat us at our own game, but they just couldn't quite get over the line. With Zach Merritt, the man stepping up, particularly in the final quarter, winning a loose ball, Langford ended up missing, but also taking intercept marks in defence.
Yeah, he was everywhere.
He was just everywhere. And just, is he leading the Brownlow?
No.
Right now?
He could be, because who else is getting votes for Essendon?
Dawson?
Dawson.
Yeah, I was going to say Jordan Dawson could be in front. He got 3 yesterday.
He would have got 3 yesterday.
He had 2 average weeks, but he started off the season on fire. But your injury list as a Bombers fan, it's really starting to pile up now.
It is starting to pile up. We're going to get some players back, but obviously the Harry Jones one, as if they actually showed that without like a graphic warning. Because luckily that was only a dislocation. Didn't do anything bad.
Yep.
Ridley again, another soft tissue.
Yeah, that 7-year contract looks good right about now.
Yep.
Kane Corn's very happy.
We're just going to pay for all his surgeries.
Yep.
Ridley, the hamstring, and also Gresham had a little, I think it was a hamstring injury as well.
Yep.
So, and not only did we suffer injuries. North, Jackson Archer
Yep.
as well.
Yeah,
Suffered a
8
hammy.
weeks for a hammy's brutal.
That's
a big hammy.
bad one.
That's a
He
bad
couldn't.
hammy.
He couldn't even
Yeah.
move his leg. That's when you know it's.
I just want to talk about the Finbar Mullaly shot on goal.
Oh,
When do the umpires ever call play on in
Nah,
that?
but it's definitely play
He
on.
went well over 30. Like you
Okay.
see the clock on the ground.
Definitely play on.
Yeah,
Even
right.
the North mate I was with said he's going to get called to play on. He has.
Okay.
It happened. I know it's such a sad moment for him because he got in such a good
played
position in
really
the
well.
game. He looks good.
Yep.
Contested marks. He's got great reach. They call him the Moose. Stats guy would be very happy with him. And I think if you're a North fan, again, you lose. And you bring in the likes of Parker and Darling to help you win these games, and they still lose. But Finbar Maley's a positive, I reckon.
Yeah,
Did the Swans
100%.
win is right. The Jones footage reminding him of Nathan Brown's broken leg.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was kind of gross. And I did not bully you. I just kindly reminded you that we were doing a live show tonight. And Brooke Watson, I don't think Toby Bedford staged or dived. I saw the reverse angle. It doesn't look good for Lewis Melican. We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
But North Melbourne, this is the final thing I want to talk about with this game. You are well past the point of these honourable losses and getting so close and so far.
Agreed.
You absolutely should have won in the last 2 weeks. It is not, we're going to learn how to win. No, you just win. You should have beaten Port Adelaide. You should have beaten Essendon. You can't leave it up to Luke Parker or Jack Darling or someone like Caleb Daniel. I know they're not all, your gun players.
But they brought them to the club for that reason. It's the
They need to
same
start
result.
winning.
It's the same
Ex-
result.
Exactly. You absolutely just need to win games of footy. Don't rely on you need a moment of magic to do it. You want to see who did it? Zach Merritt, gut running end to end that whole last quarter, got Essendon over the line. Maybe Kane Corns could be onto something. 29 touches, 1 uncontested for Sheasel. Where was his gut running all night?
I still thought he played quite well.
He
played
did
well.
play well, but I'm saying you look at the difference between Zach Merritt and him. There's the game.
I think the difference, though, is a few preseasons.
The difference is about almost 300 games. Well, 200
300 games?
200
I was
games.
about to say he's been around that long.
Um,
Kanga TV, we find new ways to lose almost every week. Yeah,
it's always the first quarter as well. North Melbourne, they start off slow.
5 minutes
and
in,
then,
they're 3 goals down.
and then the damage is done. It was the same with Port.
It happened a few weeks ago when they got blown out by the Swans as well. They were just slow off the market, just getting going. But once things click, there's enough there to be excited after the last few weeks. I think it's not great, but it's also not a good sign for Essendon.
No, definitely not. Like a lot of the players that you think we need to stand up in like moments throughout that game, like you're talking about your Durhams and
Like even Peter Wright had a few shots and missed.
Yeah.
Peter Wright was
Kyle Langford.
uncharacteristically
They're
missing.
normally both
You're
good
still a
goals.
bottom 6 team. as
Oh
an
yeah,
Essendon fan.
I'm not saying we're anything better, but it's another take the 4 points and we got Swarm. We got you guys.
Yeah, you're going to get thumped. And North Melbourne fans, as said by Kanga TV, shout out to Mans, they find new ways to lose.
They're creative with it.
They're just hurt. They're honestly hurt. Friday night, as if Thursday couldn't get any worse, Friday decided to find a way to top it as St Kilda 14-10-94 defeated Freo 5 goals 3-33. At halftime, Fremantle had their third lowest score in the history of their club, not including the shortened COVID quarters. 1 goal.
Oh, 1 goal, 1.
1 goal, 1.
One goal, 1.
You can't forget about the point.
And actually, I think we need to give a round of applause to Fremantle. Good job, Freo. They beat Cooper Sharman by 7 points. Great effort to Fremantle.
He's a baller, so that's
I really
impressive.
rate Cooper Sharman. We can talk about him first if we'd like. 4 goals, 2.
Go nuts.
He's snapping the third. He's Sally for that one.
Yep.
Aka-like. I loved
Very
it.
good.
He's
Very
just
good.
he's a bit of a wily forward, I reckon. Like, gets in the right spots, good leap, very athletic, good kick for goal. You know, he's not going to put pressure on or be a speedster down there, but he does enough. And I would like to see him and King play together, but King is obviously never
St
fit.
Kilda better off without King?
Yes, I don't think King is that good.
Well, considering he's always injured anyway, it doesn't help.
I've kind of
think he's
forgotten
that
him, to be honest, how he plays.
But you just have a look. St Kilda wanted the footy more, belted Freo around the contest. They won the clearance count 50-22.
Yeah, the clearance is
and contested
nuts.
footy, they won by about 48 as well. Like, Fremantle and St Kilda should not be playing on a Thursday or Friday night prime time for the rest of the year.
Yep, agreed. It's really interesting with the Saints. You look back last 2 weeks, especially 2 weeks ago against the Dogs, could not buy a clearance. And then 2 weeks later, it's the exact opposite. Fremantle, who are no slouches in the midfield, where you got Brayshaw, you got Sarong. I know Young got injured, but he's in there. You got Shai Bolton going through there. It's astounding to me that they win the clearance count by that much.
Yeah, but it shows the Dockers are reliant on too few players to actually win games. It's like, if you shut down Brayshaw and Sarong, you're going to beat them because Hayden Young's spending more time on the injured list at the moment than he is out on the field. Jordan Clark isn't there yet. And then you look at the forward line. It's like Shai Bolton, for all the hype and fanfare that we talked about him in the offseason, he's, promised the world, delivered an Atlas so far. He's shown us some flair, but it's more sizzle than steak. Jai Miss can't get near the footy.
Well, he was the one tall that actually kicked a couple of goals.
And then that's it. When he's standing up, it's like, oh, okay, he's finally finding the footy. And my favourite player, Dick Cyclone, a.k.a. Josh Tracy, just
was invisible.
Nowhere near it.
Wilkie was fantastic on him, I thought. Not only kept Tracy to 0 goals, but he had, I think, 24 disposals himself it was. Yeah, 24 disposals, 14 marks. So it was a very good performance by Cal Wilk.
And Mark Jones, well, you get the Saints again on Friday night. Yes, I believe it's a celebration game against Carlton because they're the home team.
That's actually going to be
It's called the TDK Bowl, in all honesty. So
at the G as well. Why would you ask for that fixture to be against Carlton at the G?
Because you had it against Collingwood last year and you don't want it against them again?
Well, they beat Collingwood, so...
Yeah.
You never know.
Did the Swans win? This is smart. So what's Fremantle's version of the 38th parallel? Anything east of Adelaide. They've won 3 their games in Perth. They've won a game in Adelaide, and they've not won anywhere else.
Yeah.
And they did lose to the Swans in Perth, obviously.
The game in Adelaide was Richmond as well.
Anything east of Adelaide is what Freo's parallel is right now.
The right side of the tic-tac-toe board isn't looking too good.
Yeah, it's not good for them. But it's also like Justin Longmuir pre-says, we just played a vanilla brand of footy. Yeah, you still are. And Simon Garlick, CEO of Fremantle, who unequivocally said that Longmuir will be in charge of round 1 next year. You can still change your mind, mate. You can still change your mind.
That was one of the worst off-season weirdest contract extensions.
Well, no, this was a comment before the game. This is takes that age terribly like that.
Yeah, but even throughout this year, I didn't see enough signs in preseason that, hold on, they're never going to be a premiership contender.
No, they are utter frauds, and I'll say it right now. Will not win the grand final this year. Done.
Yeah, they're done.
Fan bases, St Kilda, we've got them in the comments. They're happy. They're like, this is great. We're still winning games of footy.
Yep.
A couple of weeks we'll look bad and then we'll pop up and win every 3rd or 4th week just to show you that we can do it, but we're tanking for Tassie to get more draft picks in. And Freo are just like, oh yeah, this ain't good.
Yeah, Freo fans, I don't think they can trust their own team at the moment.
Now, let's get across to Bailey Smith's favourite ground, Mars Stadium on Saturday. Western Bulldogs 131 defeated another team who are absolutely positively not going to win the grand final this year. Port Adelaide 5-11-41. Bevo in.
Are the Power going to make finals? They're not even going to make finals, so how are they going to make the grand final?
Well, I said they wouldn't make finals at the start of the year, so I'm on board.
We've got to kick this off by saying, are the Dogs sneaky premiership contenders?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They're in the best 4 sides right now.
Yep.
They're playing some good football. There's something going on at the kennel down there.
If the Dogs can go up to Darwin next week and beat Gold Coast, they will go into flag hunting in the power rankings.
I think they're in the
I've got them in the top 6 chase for now.
Yeah, okay.
Along with Adelaide and a couple of other teams.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think they're probably the second best team in the competition at the moment.
Yeah.
They're in the top 2, 100% for me.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's come from not only the Bont being back, but also just goals from midfield in general.
Yeah.
The new look midfield of Richards, Libba, Bont.
It's revitalised.
Fraser going in there at times, the mini Bont.
It's what happens when you get rid of Caleb Daniel.
Yeah, Caleb Daniel.
And McRae.
Smith didn't play.
Well, Smith didn't play last year.
And Chalor just coming back. He had 27 and a goal. He was great, but because everyone else was so good, you didn't even notice him. And one of those men who was so good was Tim English, just around the ground. I think he loves Ballarat.
Tinglish.
Yeah, if he can do that for the rest of the year, the Dogs are probably 3rd pick. Like instantly just bang, they're their 3rd pick. If you can get Sam Darcy back into the back end of the year, they're probably almost top, maybe top pick. Like if they get it all going, well, last year they were probably a top 4 side that didn't get going to round 16. And this is me saying it. I flipped my script on the Dogs. I'm chips in on them.
Yeah. All Bevo. I guess Dogs fans must be zipping their lips at the moment because they wanted Bevo out before, but we asked them that question now. They say,
you Bevo in, but you also look at from the Port Adelaide side of things, like how they've gone the last few weeks from belting Hawthorn, looking like a premiership contender, going to Sydney and beating the Swans at the SCG, and then getting pumped by 90 and just getting nowhere near it all day.
Yeah, you kind of felt like it might have been coming. That might be harsh to say, but in the last 3 wins, at some stage, the team has come back.
Yeah.
So like Hawthorn were never in it, but they came back.
Should have lost to Sydney.
Really late. And North came back from quarter time onwards.
Yeah.
So you kind of felt that maybe the loss was coming. I didn't think it would be by, 80 points, 90 points?
Yeah.
Yep.
which is nuts to think of. But
yeah, in the midfield, Port, they actually started quite well.
Yeah,
they won
in the
first 10
yeah.
clearances of the game. And then from there, they lost the clearance count 49-20 after that point, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, so the Dogs are now 10 wins from 14 games in Ballarat. I know they had the smaller crowd, which you've written down.
Should they have played there?
They've got it. They've got a contract.
I know, but when there's so much work being done around the ground and you can't even get 5,000 people into the game?
Well, the capacity was about 5,000 compared to 11, but they're getting paid a stack of money by the Ballarat Council and local government, so they've got to play there. Did the Swans win is probably right. Porter probably side with the biggest difference between their best and the worst, a position the Dogs had a few years ago. That feels absolutely correct.
Yeah, and they've definitely closed that out now, the Dogs, which is why I think they can, if they continue in this vein of form, there's no reason why they can't reach a prelim.
Fan base, I think the Dogs are just like, oh yeah, no, we can do something. We get Sam Darcy back, like we're good to go. Like this is like they've kicked Jamar out of the universe. I've missed all of that in the last week, but I know he's never coming back. Simple as that, and they can just move on and win games of footy.
Yep.
And Port Adelaide,
Porter, like at least we banked the wins when we were a little bit out of form.
Yeah, but they've got a showdown this week, and
That's a
50-50.
I think they
just
they're going to get pumped.
Showdowns for me are like the
form
derbies,
goes out the window.
touch on.
Yeah.
Form goes out
the
a
window.
little bit.
Porter now 4-4, and a good chance if results don't go their way next week, they could slide to maybe 15th or 16th,
where they deserve to be.
15th
Yeah.
or 16th?
Well, because
right.
I think Richmond and the Swans will win next weekend. I don't know who the D's are playing, but yeah, there's a
These
chance they
playing
could.
Hawks.
Okay, they won't win, so they might be 15th then next week. Let's go to the Adelaide Oval. The twilight game as Adelaide put an absolute hurting on Carlton, 16-14, 110, Carlton 7-8-50. Shout out to Social Gal Spence. She was on a cute date with her partner. And
I think it was their 1 year.
Congratulations.
The desk Rory Laird was doing plenty, and Carlton got smashed. So she was really conflicted because it was her favourite player. Adam, can we calm down the Dogs being good? They've beaten North and Carlton when in poor form, Saints, Port and Ballarat, and GWS, who are now a questionable top 8 team.
I think that's so harsh.
They've smashed them, though.
harsh.
Their losses
They
are
lost
very
to
good
Collingwood and they only lost by a goal.
Probably should have won that game.
Which they
3-0
probably should have
away
won.
as well, which they were coming hard late in that one.
Yeah.
Another quarter, they win that game.
And the wins that they've had, they've belted teams as well.
Yeah.
So we can sort of, if they go and beat
You won't be
Gold
winning
Coast
the
next
t-shirt,
week.
Adam.
Yeah, he's going to get a t-shirt anyway.
Side.
So my note on this before I got into the rest of the game was Adelaide really good, Carlton god awful.
Yeah. That has to be one of the most disappointing games of the entire round. Because I thought this would be the game of the round.
So I sent my tips to Leo on Tuesday, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'll tip Adelaide. Then I saw like the injuries and changes. Oh, yeah, I'll change the Carlton.
Yeah, you tipped Carlton. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I changed the Carlton when I saw the Adelaide injury list, and I thought Fogg wasn't going to play either.
Yeah.
And then I was off for a couple of days, and I was just like, that was a bad idea.
Well, Thriller did his finger again.
Yeah.
I think he did his finger again.
Mate,
he dislocated it.
He had more taping than when Travis Cloak had that glove on. There was more stuff on that hand than that glove.
Yeah.
It was a dominant display from the midfield of Adelaide. Like Jordan Dawson finally started hitting some targets. And remember how we said at Gather Round, he got plenty of the footy, but he was just butchering it all over the place.
Yeah, you'd rather him have 20 and kick a couple like he did than 30 and butcher it.
Yeah, and that's what he did. He finally got on top of it. But then you look at Alex Neal-Bullen, Fogg, Keys, Rochelle, Rankin sharing the goals, kicking 2 goals each. You know, the Thriller only kicked 1, but he played a bit in the ruck. And his agility and athleticism around the ground actually paid off against TDK a few times. So I thought that was good. And you just have a look at Carlton. Cripps and Hewitt, they do their thing. They have 50 touches between them. That's really about it because it's the same old story. It's too few and too little doing anything for Carlton.
Yeah, I think as well, they let themselves down defensively. Throughout this season, they've been ranked the 3rd best defense, and everyone was talking up their defense, saying Carlton. They're not that bad. They're not that bad. And yeah, they were all at sea, I reckon, defensively. Get people guarding. Like the communication was off. It just wasn't.
The problem is with Carlton, when momentum goes against them, there was a 10-minute spell where they just concede way too many goals.
Now, did I say either in a group chat or on a show that Max McElhaney is not getting the chat that he deserves?
Said both, yeah.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. And I just think Adelaide they feel like they're another midfielder and a key defender away from being like legitimate contenders. I don't think they can win the flag, but they can make a run.
Do they make finals?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if they do that, they will make finals, but a bit of a watch on them away from home.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The problem is we see this at Adelaide Oval, and that's all well and good. But when they played the better teams at Adelaide Oval, like
Yeah.
the Geelongs, they lost that game. And then also away from home, they look like half the club.
Yeah, so they've got a showdown this week, and if they win that, they go to 6-3. And having a look at sort of their schedule over the coming weeks as well, like then they've got Collingwood at the MCG, big game. They should beat West Coast. Sydney at the SCG is a big game. Brisbane at home, and then they've got Hawthorn at Tassie before the bye. So
Yeah, it's a rough.
if they can win
month.
4 of them, you'd say they'll play finals because they'll be
Yeah.
9 wins at that time at least.
Yep.
You have a look at the stats though for Carlton. So this is where we smack Carlton. Negative 69 disposals, negative 18 inside 50s, negative 26 hitouts, negative 8 clearances, negative 10 centre clearance, negative 17 contested possessions, and negative 63 uncontested possessions.
Yep.
They've just been thumped around the footy and everywhere all over the park, and it shows in the scoreline. 30 shots to 15.
Negative.
What? I was just going to add in negative there.
Negative 15 shots.
Yeah, as I mentioned, they let themselves down. They were battered everywhere around the ball, weren't they?
Are we at the point where we just say they are not good and they think they are, but they're not?
I don't think they're good. That win against Geelong is confusing.
Paper over the cracks.
Yeah, but you see that in so many competitions sometimes. Like you'll see, we're EPL guys, you'll see Tottenham knock off a Manchester City at home and then they'll lose to Leicester City.
Yeah.
That's what Carlton are.
Well,
Did you just call
think
Adelaide Leicester City?
No, I just called Carlton Tottenham.
I just think Carlton's B grade and C grade players.
Yep.
They're just not good enough to compete.
No.
Towards it, like when it gets to the end of the season.
It's what I said after round 3. It's what happens when you spend 3/4 of your salary cap on your top 5 players. It works in under 14s, doesn't work at the top level of footy.
8 of their players didn't even hit 10 disposals.
Yeah. That just shows everywhere. So fan bases, Adelaide are like, yeah, sick. Can we do it in the showdown next week? And Carlton are like, oh boy, not great.
Yeah, not ideal. We thought we were past it.
Yeah. Who's that? Is that? I can't even pronounce that bloke's name down there. Tips of the Q Clash.
Quavius.
We will get to that by the end of the show here. And did the Swans win is probably right. Tigers versus Swans early last year in a bit of an upset. Yeah. We saw that, but we may have seen that with who have Richmond beaten? Gold Coast.
Yeah.
That's that result this year, I think. Let's get to the MCG game of the round stuff here.
Don't need long on this one, do we?
Apparently the umpiring was bad.
Collingwood
lost, by the way. Collingwood 87, Geelong 90.
There was that trip that definitely was a trip.
Oh, I thought it was a trip. I
thought it
don't
definitely
know why
was.
people thought I was holding the ball.
Yep.
Can't tackle the legs.
But nevertheless, the Pies, they had chances to win it. So they obviously came storming home. And then if Chris ended up kicking that winner after the siren, I'm calling scripting. I'm calling that AFL a scripting game.
So you're on board with former boss of ours, Charlie, who thinks that there's like a full-on scripting thing, and every year the AFL has who they want to win.
How is
if
they
won
scripted?
that game? Because it was just written in the stars. It was crisp in his
what-
record-breaking game.
At what point do we say his record's fraudulent because he was the sub once?
No,
No, but
He'll
he's
just
still
play
fit and
next week.
available to play.
He was the sub.
I'll just play next week then.
Doesn't count.
Do they manage him now that he's beaten that record?
No.
Just give him a rest.
Get to 250.
No.
It's 245.
Yeah, you got to get to 250.
I think he should
though.
play till he's 50. Run him into the ground. Look, I think it was that third quarter where Collingwood were on top but didn't really put the scoreboard pressure on, and Cats got their chance early in the last, and there was one man for Geelong. One old grumpy. No, he's not grumpy, but
He's
old.
grumpy.
It is grumpy, and it was Patrick Dangerfield.
Yes.
He finished the game with, what do you have, 29 and a goal?
His last quarter as well.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
it's
ridiculous.
insane.
Like, it just look the footage of him just bursting through packs and just using the raw pace and strength that he has.
Yeah.
Not only to do it both up in the air and on ground. He just rolled the clock back 5-10 years.
How's it rolling the clock back when he's been doing it all year?
He has, but he's had like 1 and 20, 2 and 15.
Yeah, but
he
against
hasn't.
Adelaide, against Hawthorn.
Yeah, but I don't think
That's the third time in the last 5 weeks he's done it.
But I don't think he's necessarily won those games off the back of his shoulders. Whereas this one,
I reckon that
he
Adelaide
did.
game he did.
I think he did.
Yeah, Adelaide.
He kicked 3.
Hawthorn, I'd argue
3 or
as well,
4.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Do we want to chat about Bailey Smith?
All right, where do we want to start?
Well,
with that?
how about we start about his performance? Because he played well. He's been playing well this season, and we'll give him his kudos. But he's
let's go back a little bit to where he flipped off a fan 3 weeks. Or flipped off a fan
At the Adelaide game.
that's fine.
Yeah,
That's
when
That's where it all
Dangerfield
starts.
copped abuse all game, and apparently some very unscrupulous things were said.
That's where it starts.
And he's flipped off the Adelaide fan, which it's after the game, and they're carrying on like
I love
idiots because
that.
they've lost. Not mad at it.
So after the game against
Collingwood.
Collingwood, like who they play again? Collingwood. He got asked 82K at the G. How good's that? You don't get that at Ballarat. He responded.
Oof.
It's pretty funny.
Can I say
It is funny.
I love it. I want more of it. But it's so clear he's got nothing going on in his head.
And you hear,
There is a monkey clapping in his head.
but it's also like he's very salty, and there's some stuff that's happened that we don't know about that's happened at the Dogs that he's very dirty about.
I don't reckon there is. I just reckon he wants to pump himself up, pump the rivalry up. I don't reckon there is.
They play each other in a few weeks, so we'll find out. Round 11.
But then Bont gave him a little bit
as well.
Yeah,
Bont's
imagine how much you like to get not to get under Bont's skin, but how much they don't like you for Bont to clap back.
He didn't really clap back though. He just stated the facts.
Yeah.
So
and
less people to flip off. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, he said less people to flip off at Ballarat.
Ballarat. Yeah.
But I think I want to see more of this stuff. I'm
think
a
it's
big
just a bit
advocate for it. It will come back to bite him. I think it's similar to Ginnivan last year. And I think
when Ginnivan had kicked 6 and had 30 against Collingwood.
When Ginnivan said, see you next.
See you in 2 weeks to Grundy.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think there could be an opportunity where it does come back to bite him. And then everyone will jump on him and be like, oh, he shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that. No, it's great for the game. And it builds storyline.
And Bont clapping back is great too.
Yeah,
because,
for sure.
Because that's the thing. I don't know when that game is, if it's a Friday or a Saturday, if it's Channel 7, Fox Footy, whoever. If that's not in the promo packages, those grabs,
it will be
leading
100%.
up to the game, like we're not doing anything. Like this is the stuff that we should do. And I'll talk about GWS later because they do that with the Swans all the time. This is the stuff we like to see. It's obviously there's some tension there from what's going on with Bailey Smith and the Dogs. And Bont to clap back a little bit. It just makes the game a bit spicier. There's no you're not abusing someone, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. To try and make your point where we see in build-ups like boxing matches and things like that. This is like, no, we don't like each other.
It's not like personal, though, in a way.
No.
It's just sort of saying
had
cheeky jabs at each other.
They had a breakup, and there's still some bitter feelings there.
It's good. We've seen more personality this season, and then in so many of the previous seasons combined. That's what we want to see.
And I think finally the media's are finally on board with like, yes, we want players' personalities. We're in the past, but like, no, we don't like that. Don't do it because it doesn't fit our narrative.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh no, we need this in the generation that we're in now with TikTok and Instagram, everything taking over and everything being short clips. Like you see that in a 30-second grade, like, oh, I'm going to watch that. But
Mark was completely right. It was a brilliant game last night.
Yeah.
Probably the game of the year already.
I'm still sticking with Geelong Hawthorn.
But it's that was a bad game. Both teams wanted to lose that.
Easter, I thought it was great.
So Mark said it was closer than the result of the election, which was also on the same day.
And that's the only time we'll talk about politics on this show. But do we want to sort of talk more about this game as well? Like Bailey Smith is having a phenomenal year as far as his
recruit of the year.
100%. Matthew Kennedy probably second.
Yeah.
But you also look at what they paid for each other as well. But you look at he's averaging 30 disposals this year, up from his average of 23. It's up there with, remember in 2021 in the finals where he was just the man?
Yeah.
Well, it's what he wanted. He wanted more midfield time. And with the Dogs, they just got such a star-studded midfield.
And he obviously wants to be the man as well.
Yeah, I think, And we've got that sort of aura about him.
Probably haven't given Collingwood enough, like, chatted about them enough. Like I thought Darcy Cameron was awesome in the ruck.
He was.
Sure.
I know that was it Stanley went down early, so that doesn't help. But 38 hit-outs, he kicks an amazing left foot boonana.
Yeah, did he mean it?
No.
Did he mean
No, he didn't.
Well, can you count that then? If that's in the goal of the year contender.
Oh no, it's not goal of the year contender. No, leave me out of that.
In the 3 weekly goals of the week.
No,
can it be in there if he doesn't mean it?
I'd have to watch more footy to remember what happened. Cooper Sharman.
There was there one in the City game?
Not that I can remember. That was
where I got an AFL notification.
Stringer pulled one out of his backside, but it was a fluke.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that
but yes, steel side bottom continues to be good. Josh Dacos good, and Pendles is just fantastic. What was with his like weird? How you doing? Celebration.
I don't know. I didn't catch it.
Okay. It felt a bit weird. Anyway, Nick Dacos was, even though he had nearly 30 touches, he was a bit off it. I thought.
Cheapies.
No, not cheapies. But I think also this. I'm still not convinced on Collingwood. I know everyone's like, oh, you're an idiot. Why aren't you convinced on Collingwood? There's something missing for Collingwood.
Really?
I still don't like the forward line. I still don't like it. I know Mychek's kicked 4-3. I just don't like the forward line.
I still see them as
They're going to win the flag, and I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, of course they won the flag. But I still don't know.
I mean, they won the flag 2 years ago with a similar forward line.
Yeah, I know.
I think the forward line is okay for me. It's more maybe the back line. Can you kick a bag on Darcy Moore?
Yeah.
more about Geelong though. Like their midfield,
They're finding ways to win.
they're finding ways to win, but their midfield never really seemed to dominate. And it's not very inspiring. Bailey Smith has been killing it, obviously. But Max Holmes is
a lot of workhorses.
I've expected a little bit more from him, and Tom Atkins.
If you tag Max Holmes, you're going to beat Geelong.
Interesting.
That's my theory.
Well, he didn't have a great game either. I don't think he only had the 20 and didn't hit the scoreboard.
So fan bases, Collingwood fans are blaming umpires. That's all I've seen this morning on the internet.
That's all I've seen.
They're blaming umpires. You kicked 12 goals, 15. Got yourselves to blame.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Geelong are just like, sick. Another win. Another dub. This is great.
Finals for yet another year.
But you'd still be spewing that loss against Carlton.
That's fine.
They could beat Carlton.
That's fine. Let's get across to Optus Stadium. The West Coast Eagles did put up a bit of a fight, 11-10-76, defeated by the D's. Max Gawn actually 16-12, 108.
Yeah, they were up by about a goal, I think, early in the second, West Coast, or was it late in the second?
Late in the second.
Late in the second, and then McGovern went off, and they were a bit all at sea down back. Interesting, though, the D's dominated territory. Even when West Coast got a bit of a run on, the inside 50 count was always in favour of Melbourne, and I just think maybe McGovern going off, the bit of an experienced backline with sort of the likes of Jimby down there, you know, Oscar Allen learning the position. I think Melbourne finally were able to get through as the game went on. I thought Daniel Turner, I don't really rate him, but he found some form 3 snags and track carried Clary's load. I thought in the midfield he was superb, but I think the biggest talking point out of this game was one man. Can we guess?
Maximum Aurelius Gornicus.
Matt Flynn. The superhero. No, Max Gawn. Yeah, what a game. 198 SuperCoach points. I know that isn't everything to the average AFL fan out there, but he was absolutely superb. I think he had around 25 disposals.
Gawn?
35.
Yeah, 35.
I thought that was a typo.
No, 35.
35.
47 hit outs and a goal.
He seemingly does this a couple of times a year, and just as I said, that did the Swans win. Gawn pulls a game like that out of his backside twice a year.
Yeah,
but it also
that's stiff. I reckon he does that on the regular.
35 touches though.
I think a lot of people were questioning
Gawn
Gawn at the start of the year, and his last 2 weeks have just been, in particular, have been absolutely phenomenal.
He's raised his hands to the AA selectors.
Yep, and I think he's trying to carry Melbourne on his back. Obviously, worked this week against West Coast, albeit not too convincing.
Yeah.
He's definitely one that you can rely on.
Yeah, the game sort of flipped when McGovern went down as well, and Bo Allen's been given a week for his clip on Viney as well.
I think that was fair. He was apologetic over it.
Yeah, but it was just it was very silly. And what did we think about the Clary week off? We just like.
I've heard it's a bit longer than a week.
Okay, because I was just like, they're going to Perth. Just chill out. Like they're going to beat West Coast. Just relax.
As long as he's keeping his fitness up, which I'd say he is, I don't have an issue with it. I think the importance of mental health for players nowadays is pretty imperative. So.
Yeah, he's earned the respect back of the playing group. So as long as
you'd hope so,
keeps his head down and keeps going.
West Coast showed enough for me that they'll win a game or two this year.
I think they will. They're a chance against Richmond, but
that is at the MCG.
They'll knock off a team like North, or they'll get someone that comes over after they've had a bye, like maybe Essendon have already been there.
That could be Freo.
Or Carlton even. Yeah, like a team that goes over there
Kilda?
after a bye. I don't know West Coast fixture. If a team has a bye, has to travel to Perth, Sunday 4:40, West Coast get up and be like, we're a chance here, and they knock them off.
I thought that was this game, though. I thought that was this game. I tipped them, so did Marcus.
I tipped him.
You were very keen on them there. I saw that. Fan bases, West Coast like, McGovern, this is going to get ugly. What are the odds for West Coast not to win all year? I think there was something like $31 around for a team to not win this whole season at the start of the year. That included Richmond, and that ended in the first week.
They'll win a game.
They'll win a game. They'll 100% win a game.
Are they better than Richmond?
No.
No,
absolutely not.
Are they better than North?
No. I'd back North to beat them. Yeah.
Depends which North rocks up.
Yeah, Luke Parker. And D's fans are like, that's
These
good.
fans just like expected challenge next week against Hawthorn.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. Can they lift against Hawthorn next week?
Yep.
Let's get to the SCG. My beloved Sydney Swans finally decided to do a thing because you know what they do against GWS? Win. That is 7 consecutive derbies across the AFL and AFLW to the Sydney Swans.
There you go.
As I said on Twitter earlier, GWS all week and including their banner, they'll just talk a bunch of rubbish that their players can't cash, which they should continue to do because it's all in good fun. It's harmless banter. It's good for the game and it grows it. And the Swans just sit back and take dubs.
Yeah, that's it. And do you have anything to say to me?
No.
Yeah.
No, come on.
No.
Come on.
Do it.
No.
God, you're
Absolutely
acting like my girlfriend, not saying sorry.
Oh, bang.
No, I apologize.
Maddie getting the cop out?
No, Maddie, she shout out. She
must have the
sorry.
patience of a saint.
Yeah, she does. Shout out. She actually wanted me to give her a shout out.
Oh, did she?
Oh.
Thanks for watching, Maddie. So I took notes just throughout the game. So I got different notes as the game went on. The boys on True Bloods are going to come in absolutely up and about.
Off the long run?
Not off the long run. I think they'll just be happy. I had a chat with Deebs after the game. It was ugly, but the Swans got the job done. But I took sort of quarter by quarter notes. I had 4 or 5 points per quarter. It's in the first quarter, it was good to see that Heaney and Warner, they were up for this game straight away. They were getting their hands on the footy. They were good through the corridor, and their forward entries were as good as they've been all season. And the Giants were really slow to get going, and they were reactive rather than proactive, and then they were starting a little bit of fights when the Swans were kicking goals. They were getting into them, and the Giants were giving away silly free kicks and silly 50s. Talk about the free kick count later because it was disgusting.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And Aaron Cadman is very good.
Yeah.
I saw people saying, he hasn't done enough as a number 1 draft pick. He's a key forward. Once he puts on another 5 kilos, he is going to be a very, very good footballer.
Yep.
He can take a good mark. He can kick a long bomb. He's got a great left peg. He is a serious footballer.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of time. But Alex, talk to me about Joel Hamling.
Masterstroke.
Masterclass.
Masterstroke by Dean Cox. Shout out to all the people who are like, Dean Cox can't coach. What's he do? Bam! Just destroys the best defender in the competition with Joel Hamling.
Those comments as well about Cox I thought were a bit stiff considering it's been 6 games.
And they're without a third of their team.
Yeah, and it's just also I don't know, I feel he's inherited a list that's obviously expected to make a grand final at the very least based off recent years. He's probably still learning a lot about coaching. So I don't think it can be too harsh on Cox at the moment.
No,
The big question is, are you back?
Do it again against Essendon next week and I'll believe it. That's the main thing.
Stats
You
guy
believe it if you beat Essendon.
No, but it's winning 2 games in a row. And also, stats guy saying Stats guy saying the Swans can't make the finals. Did he not remember Brisbane were 2-5 last year?
I tried to remind him on the show.
And also Hawthorn were what? You were 1-7, 1-6.
That's what I was telling him.
Yeah.
Fell on deaf ears.
Stats guy don't know ball. Just proving it once again.
Well, he was at the game today. He was at the game.
Yeah, he was. He was cheering for the Giants. And I was like,
Did he buy a scarf or something?
He was near the Swans cheer squad, actually. I saw where his seat was on Instagram. He was, right behind where the Swans cheer squad was. But the umpiring in this game, and this does have, the free kick count for the game was 27-9. GWS got 27 free kicks. Now, don't get me wrong. Plenty of free kicks are there.
Because of the scraps and all
Because of the scraps and everything else, and maybe a high tackle or some holding the balls. There was a holding the ball against Heaney, which probably should have been a free kick to Heaney, that GWS then got a 50 for. Laura Kane comes out and says, the umpiring is as good as it's ever been. And not just in this game, but in other games across the weekend, we have seen that the umpiring level is not up to the standard. And I don't know why the commentators on this game were so reticent to comment on it. Because if you're watching a game and something's not up to standard, you are allowed to call it out. It is your job as a media professional to do so. And that's why I'm happy to say the umpiring at the moment is pathetic. It is god-awful. They need more oversight and not just, no, it's all right, boys, we'll back you up. It's okay here and there. There are a lot of wrong decisions made or interpretations made by the 4 different umpires on the ground, and it's not good enough for the greatest game in Australia.
Yeah, they don't know. Like Thursday night was a prime example.
A lot of free kicks.
Where the Constanti just booted it away after the ball was called for a throw up. Then they called a North Melbourne free kick right in front of the goal. And then they're like, oh, wait, no, let's actually just ball it up.
Yeah. And then did the Swans win? The Swans got 1 free kick for the entirety of the second half. That seems very weird.
I didn't see majority of that second half to necessarily comment. But
there was probably 3 or 4 times that's a free kick. So if they'd had 3 or 4, it would have been okay. But I just thought the umpiring in this game was not up to standard. Lewis Melican's probably going to get a couple of weeks for his hit on Bedford.
I reckon he gets 3 minutes.
When I first saw it, I was like, I think he's got him in the ribs there and he's landed on his face. And then you see the reverse angle. He's like, it's gone under his arm and sort of clipped him on the way through. It looks really weird the way with Bedford's arms going up. I thought the umpires kept giving ducking free kicks. I wrote that down there. GWS really worked into the game in the second quarter with a lot of pressure and good ball movement. And then in the third quarter, the pressure just really intensified. Justin McInerney, his kicking this year. Oh, my God. It has been horrendous. Yeah. He missed an absolute sitter. He should have straightened up, kicked a goal. At one point in the second half, the Swans had kicked 3 goals, 10. They should have put this game to bed. The Sydney Swans should have won this game by 7 or 8 goals. They should have absolutely thumped them, but they allowed GWS just to sort of hang around. The Swans went, okay, that's enough of you. And Joel Hamling, I wrote there, been very good on Taylor. I thought Caden Cleary had his best game. Jordan did a great job on Whitfield, kicked 2 goals himself. Yep. My boy Beef, shout out to Polly Porridge. My boy Beef came on as the sub, had a couple of touches, got some clearances, kicked a goal as well. And is Jake Stringer the perfect sub?
He could be.
Package.
When you think about it, side note, it was a beef package as the subs today.
Beef package.
Beef packages. Well, how many of the next 6 do you win? Because did the Swans win? Said you got the Bombers, Blues, Demons, Crows, Tigers, and Port Adelaide.
They win 5.
5 of those 6.
Yeah. The Crows one's the coin flip for me. They'll beat the Bombers, Carlton's at home, the Demons at the MCG, Crows at home, Tigers at the MCG, and Port would be at the Adelaide Oval. So I think they'll win 4, at least 5. So what are they? 3 and 5 at the moment.
Yep.
So if they win 4 of them, that gets them to 7 and 7. And with the injury list after the bye, you think of all the players that the Swans are going to have back. You're going to have Errol back. Errol's back after the bye, but you're going to have Mills, Papley, Amadi, who else is out? Cunningham's at the moment. I don't think we'll see Logan McDonald for the rest of the season, though. So that's the one for me.
Matt in the comments says, Laura Kane jumps in puddles. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm going to go a little bit off topic and have a little story time of the time I accidentally
jumped in a puddle.
No, I was driving. You know, when you drive, you see a big puddle and you're like, I'm going through that because that looks really fun.
Are you 12?
There's no one on the footpath next to me. Well, that I saw. Yeah. And I was driving and went in the puddle. I was like, oh, puddle. Turns out there was like an 8-year-old girl with like a little raincoat on.
Oh, no.
And I absolutely drenched her. And then she went to go stand behind the tree and walked home, I guess. But
you are a terrible person.
I know. You go in a hole, but I'll do it again.
Yeah. Shout out to Andrew Tay. Hello from Canada. Nice to catch you, boys.
Big Cricket Today fan. Came over from Cricket Today onto AFL Today.
I love Canada. Have been there. Toronto is one of my favourite cities in the world.
Andrew, have you picked your football club yet? I know that was something
Soccer
he was
or AFL?
AFL. Okay. His footy club. He was trying very hard, or Statscom was trying very hard to get him to North Melbourne.
Yeah. Classic Marcus talking about, good stuff, stats guy. I thought Tom Green was quite good as well. He had 30-odd touches. He was in and under the contest all day. I honestly didn't notice Finn Callahan. There was a couple of times
he was good.
A couple of times GWS got on the break and he was there as the link-up player, but I honestly did not notice him throughout the game.
We had 21 at the halftime.
Yeah.
I thought he was decent. And he's still very young. He's working into his game.
Oh, he is. It was Chad Warner's best game of the season by an absolute mile. You could see in the first quarter that he was up for it and maybe finally signing that contract. His mind's off everything. And shout out to Don Pike who said, hey, Chad, you've made a mistake re-signing for the Sydney Swans. Do we actually think that? Because when you think about it, he saved West Coast a bunch of money and all their draft picks. He's actually saved their future by signing for the Swans.
Yeah.
He could go there for 3 and 2 years.
They wouldn't have given up
3
too
picks.
much for him.
It's 3 picks for Chad Warner, and then you can't get those 3 kids in that you need. And if you lose Harley Reid and Oscar Allen, you're screwed anyway.
Yeah, which I think they will.
Matty Roberts is starting to butcher the footy this year too. Yeah, he was poor, but he's had some very good games as well. So I'm not ready to write him off there. Fan bases, the Sydney Swans are like, that's good. Can we do it again? Like they just do it again next week and start to build the momentum as some of these players start coming back, because you could see in the second and third quarter that their lack of depth was showing. Mark Jones, True Blood's later in the week. Yes, it is, but this is also my time. I've been away for 2 weeks, so shush. And GWS fans, they're just like, oh, we've got a problem with losing to Sydney. And we are in free fall.
Yeah, they haven't been too impressive this week. I laid it out on Thursday as I was schooling you with my argument, Marcus, but they would want to win some pretty convincing games coming up.
And Stats Guys just reminded me, he said Toby Green was a myth today. Dane Rampy absolutely clamped him.
Yep.
And GWS, I'll say it, you will not win the grand final this year. You just lost to a team with the starting tall forwards of Joel Hamling and Aaron Francis.
Yeah, not great.
Done. All right, let's go to Leo's team. Hawthorn absolutely smacked Richmond 16-13 or 109. Richmond 6-8-44. Yet another game with many fights, as happened in the Swans GWS game.
Yeah, there's a bit of there's no love lost, as people say, between these two sides.
Why is there no love lost between
I don't know.
Hawthorn and Richmond?
Back to sort of maybe 2019 when Sicily was on Lynch and those two were having a bit of a fight. They were going to kiss at one point. I thought it was a bit weird, but
irrelevant. I don't remember that.
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like that's why it's sort of built up. I don't know. It's weird.
But
like
Richmond don't. I was speaking to one of my Richmond mates today. They don't necessarily have a rival.
No, maybe it's
the
Hawthorn.
competition.
Maybe now we're building it with Hawthorn. Anyway, I just thought, having watched most of the second half, didn't catch the first half, but we always seemed to be running. Every time we sort of marked it, we had an emphasis on playing on. Just felt like Richmond were always a step off. Even there was like periods of congestion where we kind of stuffed around with it and overused it, and Richmond were just half a metre away from a tackle or laying a good block or something, and it just sort of
between a good side and
the fitness levels as well. I think big difference. I want to give a shout out though to the two recruits, Josh Battle and Tom Barras down back.
Oh, Tom Barras.
Tom Barras. Yeah, he was very good. I think, was it the big diving spoil?
Yeah, the big diving, the full spray, Stephen Silvani stop of a goal when Richmond had kicked 3 behinds at one point, and he's just like, nah, not going to let you kick a goal, dived, got a quick flick on it, and it stayed to 4, went to Richmond 4 behinds. Like, the game was done at that point, but that just shows the commitment. Like, this is the things that you want to see week in, week out. As opposed to when the Wizard played for a free kick, argued with the umpire, Richmond went down the other and kicked a goal and got dragged.
Yep. Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But there was a point early on where Richmond were doubling our inside 50s. It was 16-8. So Battle and Barras, just to sort of steady the ship, were super influential. Barras as well. Sorry, Battle, 33 and 12 marks. 33 touches, that is. So,
I thought Mass was really good. 32 goals, 800 metres gained.
You don't cry about it though.
Yeah, no, I still can't believe it. I actually really love Mass.
But what a man.
We moved him in the forward line and he kills his history.
That goal he kicked in the last quarter was awesome.
Yeah, the set shot from the very nice.
Great.
So yeah, look, not as a Hawks fan and getting into the fan bases, just good for percentage, I think, just to build that back up because it was down around 105 2 weeks ago. Now it's 125. So
although I feel like in the last 5 minutes, you had the game won, so you didn't necessarily give up, but you also leaked a few shots. I think they had like five scoring shots in the last 2 or 3 minutes, which, it's a big change with them going from 30 points to 50 points.
Yep.
So there could have been a little bit of love lost there, but I don't think it's a big deal.
Oh, I disagree with you. Did the Swans win? Meters gained is the single most overrated stat in the footy. No, it's not. If you're getting the ball forward, you're a chance kicking goals. Yeah. This is when Adelaide and Essendon were going wrong last year when you had Darcy Parish, Crouch and a few others having 35 disposals and gaining 12 metres.
Parish has barely played in 2 years.
But that's what I mean. When they were playing and they were just going backwards and sideways. You go forward, you're a chance of kicking the goal. GWS heard AFL Today had Sydney on Fraud Watch and said, hold my beer. That is correct. GWS are in frauds this week in the power rankings.
100%.
Yeah.
They deserve to be.
Yep.
As a Richmond fan, you're probably like, not great. The effort wavered when in other weeks they showed a bit of, I guess, fight late in games, even if they were getting smashed, and they didn't today.
Yeah, but they're going to do that every few weeks, though. There's going to be games where they just get belted.
Yeah. Well, they start really slow and they finish really slow. It's that middle period where they can lock into those sort of games. It's happened all year, but if they lose every game for the rest of the year by 7 to 10 goals, have they shown enough this year to be proud of?
Yes, because they've already won a couple of games.
Yeah.
And they've had a couple of tight losses.
They'll win more.
They'll win 3 games this year. I reckon they'll win. Yeah, they'll win 4.
They'll beat North.
Yeah.
They'll win next week. They're playing West Coast.
There you go.
Yeah, they'll win 4. How are you feeling as a fan, Leo? Banking it?
Banking it, yeah. Good for percentage.
Yeah. And as we said,
I think they're just hoping no injuries because West Coast last week, Richmond
they seem
this week,
to get one injury
Melbourne
a week.
next week.
Yeah.
Just stay injury free and you'll be happy.
All right, quickly, we'll touch on the Q Clash before we get away. Obviously, this is the last game of the weekend. It takes place in about 10 minutes' time, so we're going to get this done and get out so we can review the game later tonight. We'll be doing it a little bit different. We'll all be home and all cozied up, I hope. Brisbane, they're the favourites up against Gold Coast. This is the biggest Q Clash. You want to know why? Winner will be top of the ladder, ladies and gentlemen watching the show. Winner of the Q Clash, top of the ladder tonight.
Yeah, I think I said on the Thursday show, Gold Coast win this, their best win ever.
Okay.
Could be. Yeah.
So I was listening to this show Friday morning, and I thought the Collingwood in 2023, when they beat them at home. Collingwood won the flag that year. Nick Dacos kicked those two amazing goals.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and they held on. That's their best win at the moment.
A good one, yeah.
That's sick in the head that I know that as
I was going to say, I don't even remember that. How are we feeling about this one? I think Brisbane get it done.
I'm on the Suns.
On the Suns?
Really?
Just that avalanche against the Swans last week. 12 goals straight. They had no answer. I think off halfback, I think Gold Coast are much more dangerous. I also think the forward line of Gold Coast is better. I know that, who was it that went down? Ben Long's not playing.
Isn't he?
I think he's out.
Ooh.
I think I read that this morning. I like the Gold Coast forward line more than I do Brisbane's because as we know, I'm out on Eric.
Yeah, I just think the impact of the Gabotoir, it will be too big. But yeah, you were correct. Ben Long out, Swallow in.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Well, Swallow's probably the sub, so.
Sub is Jake Rogers for Gold Coast.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right, there we go. So you're tipping Brisbane?
Yeah, I think Brisbane.
Brisbane as well.
Tipping Gold Coast, we'll wrap that up in a couple of hours' time. Tipping results so far. I can't believe I tipped Carlton.
Yeah, that was a bad one. I got 5/6. So I tipped St Kilda in this, but I tipped Freo in another comp because I forgot.
This is what he does. He covers his bases.
No, I don't. I just forgot to tip St Kilda.
Yeah.
I meant to tip St Kilda. So, and I tipped Sydney as well. So I'm very happy. Get stuffed. You GWS supporting.
I put my faith in the Eagles.
You flog.
And you got Melbourne as a correct tip, even though you tipped them on the
Actually, no, that meant to be.
So, who's the fraud here? Put him in fraud.
Actually, I could be on 7 then because I don't know. I've confused myself.
That doesn't take a lot of effort.
No, it doesn't.
Did the Swans win? What odds would you have gotten at the start of the season for the Suns to finish on top of the ladder at any round? Well, I had them starting the season 6 and zip.
Well, they have had, according to AFL champion data, the easiest start to a season out of any club.
I had, before the Cyclone wiped out the first game against Essendon, I had them starting 6 and zip.
Yeah.
I had them up until the Swans game. I was like, they might lose that against the Swans or Brisbane. I was like, they're going to be unbeaten up until the last 2 weeks. So I had them on top of the ladder now.
Well, Wookie in the comment section reckons that Brisbane will absolutely flog the Gold Coast Suns.
Wookie up and about. All right, let's go to the big core results. Side note, last week, I got mine.
We don't care. That was last week.
Yeah, no, but
We're talking about this week.
You didn't mention it.
I think we
don't
forgot
know. You
about
went
that.
here.
Yeah, I said the Suns had flogged Sydney.
Oh, well, I think we forgot.
Yeah, you did. So I got another one. Pies win by 5 goals. Whoops. Eagles beat D's for Marcus.
Is that a big enough big call?
What?
Just Collingwood winning a game of footy
by 5 goals.
Oh, you look at your big call.
Yeah,
Eagles beat the D's. Yeah, but they haven't won a game
and they lost.
Yeah, and
I got close.
Fraser 25 and a goal. How'd he go?
19 and a goal, so half point.
What was the stats, boys?
He was Chandler 15 and 3. He had 26 and 1, I think.
I'll give him a half of that. 26 and 1.
Handing out half points. Come on.
I got a half point.
Come on.
He gets a half point for that. Best on ground of the week. Hit it, Leo.
So we're going to start this off with third place.
Yep.
P. Dangerfield.
You ruined it though. You said third place, P. Dangerfield. You go 1 vote, P. Dangerfield.
Oh my God. Sorry.
Come on, you got to do it. You got to do it right.
29 touches, 1 goal. Insane last quarter. All right. Second place, 2 votes.
Which is very, very stiff.
This is controversial.
M. Gawn.
Who was better than Gawn?
35 touches.
It was against
47
West
hits.
Coast. There is that weighting taken into consideration.
198 SuperCoach points, 1 goal, and just a bunch of aura. He's got aura, and that's just a fact. Thirdly, and I think the best player of the round this week, 3 votes.
Angus Sheldrick.
T.
Almeri.
T. English, 27 touches, 3 goals if you don't mind, 30 hit-outs. A big reason why I have him over Gawn is because, as you mentioned, Port won the first 10 clearances of the game.
Yeah, that was wild.
He obviously wasn't having the impact that he wanted to on the game.
He's coming up against Jordan Sweet.
Well, Gawn was coming up against Flynn.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
So English was able to turn the tide at quarter time and have an absolutely insane game back to his best form, his career best form that we saw, 2022, 2023? Which year was it? 22.
It was
22, 22, 21, 22, yeah.
27 and 3 goals. I think I'd rather that over 35 and a goal. Stiff as that is. Gawn was insane, but Tinglish.
Unfortunately, you can't share votes. So,
I'm not.
There we go. Tinglish it is.
Hit us with the best on ground. Oh, the best team of the week, Marcus, is I'm trying to look up how many possessions Angus Sheldrick got in the twos because he played VFL after he played for the Swans.
The best team of the round. B. Dangerfield got the 1 vote for player, and similarly, Geelong are going to get the 1 vote.
G-Cats.
G-Cat. Oh, you want me to read out the teams as well?
G-Cats.
Okay, 1 vote, G-Cats. I just think coming up against Collingwood, who are the hottest team in the competition, and they had their backs against the wall after a couple of disappointing weeks, Geelong. Well, more than a couple of disappointing weeks. They earned the 1 vote. In at 2, going to go St Kilda.
S Kilda, yeah.
S Kilda. S Kilda.
ST Kilda.
ST Kilda.
It's a hyphenator.
ST Kilda Saints. They get the 2 votes for me, keeping Fremantle to, was it their equal?
Really?
One of the lowest scores in the club's history. 1 goal.
Man, we're trying to delete that game from our mind, mate.
I know, but I think they just definitely deserve a mention.
Swans are a bit stiff not to get a vote here.
And
spoiler.
What? You want to go Footy by 2 goals? What are you...
Outsiders. Beat the
Cats
Giants.
won a game by 3 goals. That's
At
3
home as well.
points.
And you talked about your record against them as well, so you should be winning that game.
Interesting.
3 votes, W Bulldogs.
This is 2 weeks in a row now.
2 weeks in a row, they deserve
W
to.
Dogs.
90 points in a blustering wind.
Very rare day to get scoring conditions at Ballarat.
Yeah, it was very windy, and just Port Adelaide couldn't make the most of it, whereas the Dogs could, and they're storming up the ladder, and like we said, are they premiership contenders? We think so.
Yeah. Don't mind it.
Where
Not
are the
against
Bombers sitting at?
Negative
probably
third.
17th. I reckon we get negative 17 votes.
Negative 70 votes.
Yeah.
All right, that is us done and dusted because the Q Clash is coming up, of course. So we'll be back later tonight to wrap up that game. Obviously, if you're catching this on Monday morning, nothing will change you. It'll genuinely be a quick transition. But in that part, we will be doing the wrap-up of the Q Clash as well as the ladder check, and that'll be about it. But we'll do the ending then. We'll wrap it up now. The winner of the T-shirt, and I'm giving it due to pure weight of comments, did the Swans win?
Oh, surprise.
Here we go.
Come on, he was the best in the comments throughout the evening.
I reckon we have to have a sit down over the week and we'll assign the best person.
Whilst we're watching the Gold Coast Brisbane game, we'll have a look and we'll decide.
Of course
then.
we'll have a look.
But there's a very strong...
Yeah, did the Swans win is probably 99% chance of winning the shirt. Random stat of the week, Swans are the first side this year to win after playing the Suns the week before. That is a great stat.
Do we have to finish the show on a Sydney stat?
Hit them with an Essendon stat.
Yeah, go.
They're not-
Without Zach Merritt, we would be cooked. All right, we'll catch you after the Q Clash to wrap up round 8 of AFL on AFL Today.
All right, welcome back to AFL Today. Unfortunately, the round ended like it started. It was kind of boring. It was kind of a waste of time. And the result wasn't a shock to all of us, was it, boys?
No, not really. Well, it was a shock to you, Alex. You tipped the Suns.
Yeah, I'm a truther, though. That's my fault for being a truther of the Gold Coast Suns and betting on them to make the finals and saying I will buy the kit. I think I could be safe given that performance. That was insipid.
Yeah, it was. So in the end, Brisbane 66, Gold Coast 49. But 17 points doesn't really tell the full story here. I feel like it was a bit of domination from Brisbane, particularly in the midfield, just on top with contested possessions and clearances inside 50s. When there's that sort of level of domination, I don't think the Suns really stood a chance throughout the game. So I think 17 points kind of flatters them in the end a little bit.
Yeah, there was a lot of junk time going on in this game for sure. Like Gold Coast kick a couple of goals late in the game. It's like, there's a chance. It's kind of respectable when they kick 3 goals to 3 behinds in the last quarter. But it was just like the game was done at 3/4 time, 5 goals to 1 in the third quarter. Really set it up for Brisbane. I was thinking on the way home when I was driving home, I was like, geez, Charlie Cameron hasn't had a kick all season. Decides to fire up, and God damn it, am I sick of that song already.
For sure. I'd be so frustrated if I was a Gold Coast fan because I don't know about you guys, but watching that second half in particular, it was so promising. Even all the build-up of half-back, they were getting run and carry on the ball, but it was just that final kick into inside 50 or finding that target on the wing or in the middle of the ground. It was just pathetic. It was just turn the ball over every single time. And it was the ones like Matt Rowell who you think, you'd want the ball in hand.
Yeah, he had a poor game, didn't he? Only 16 disposals. So, not to his lofty heights that he's shown this season at least. But I reckon the Ashcroft bros deserve a bit of a shout out. They were sensational. Will with 34, Levi with 29. Not bad, bad.
The period of play where this really summed up the game for me was when there was a kick for a Gold Coast counter-attack. Will Ashcroft comes across, spoils the ball off Matt Rao, and then Chase is the first one to get there when the ball bounces towards the wing, and Rao pushes him in the back and he gets the free kick. That was just a perfect sum of the game.
I do enjoy how I'm just seeing, on the match report saying the Ashcrofts decided to go full Dacos when, let's be honest, if the Ashcrofts were playing for Fitzroy in Melbourne, we would be saying they could be the best duo in the competition right now as far as brothers are concerned, given obviously we know how good the Dacoses are, but let's be honest, Will Ashcroft has something Nick Dacos doesn't have, a Norm Smith medal.
Yeah, that's true. You can't argue with that. But Nick could get one this year, even.
Potentially. Well, we could have a 2023 grand final rematch the way it's shaping up now because I don't know how you think about that. I'm happy just to push Gold Coast to the side for this. They are pathetic. They'll probably win by 20 goals next week in Darwin because it's what they do. Remember the 164-100 win over Geelong last year?
Yeah, that was nice.
But Brisbane, they're 7-1, and I feel like they have been rubbish this season.
Yeah, I mean, rubbish could be a little harsh, but I do get what you mean. They're not playing as well. They're not playing their best football, you feel. But to continually find ways to win shows the hallmarks of a really strong side. So, and it is early on in the season. You just hope that if you're a Lions fan going into finals that you're playing a brand of football that is a bit better than this, which it's weird to say because they're 7-1. It's so weird to say, but I get where you're coming from.
As long as they find their expressive and their best footy towards the end of the year, they find that form. That's the most important time of the year, and we've seen teams who have started off a season poorly can still come through, make finals, go deep in finals. So for them to not play very good in particular and still have that record, it's only good signs. It's only upwards for them.
I suppose we haven't also mentioned that it did rain sideways for a fair portion of this game, and Brisbane were just pretty simple and efficient with the footy. They got it, they whacked it long, they got in their forward 50 and had great tackling pressure early in the first half. They were absolutely dominating the stats around the ground. You have a look at the end of it, it's 56 inside 50s to 40. They've won clearances quite easily as well, but the tackle count would have been absolutely massive in favour of them. There it is, 67 to 52. So it just goes to show they were first to the ball, but they were also just on it defensively all night too. It was just one of those Gold Coast games where they were just there but didn't threaten.
Yeah, you're right. And what was it, 66 to 30 going into the last quarter? So yeah, a couple of junk time goals to sort of make it look a bit more respectable, I guess.
Fan bases?
Yeah, I think Brisbane they're pretty up and about. I think we touched on 7-1, and you're not playing your best football, you'd be pretty happy.
And Gold Coast, they'd be a little bit worried, seeing whether they can stack it up against the better sides in the competition. They've got a big month coming ahead for them.
Yeah, very interesting. Of course, next week they've got the Bulldogs up in Darwin, and then they have
Hawthorn
on a Thursday night in Darwin. So
yeah,
if Gold Coast can manage to win those two games, it'll really set their season up, given it will take them, if they win those two games, to 7-2. I think that's when I might start to believe them, because it's 7-2. Surely they can't stuff it up.
Surely, right?
If there was a club to do it, they'd be up on the list.
Your club is one of them too.
Yes. But we're not in that conversation, so don't worry about us.
All right, let's get into the ladder check. I'm sure Gerald's made an awesome graphic for that as we do it late in the show. As said before, the winner of the Q Clash should go top of the ladder, and that is the Brisbane Lions at 7-1 with 114%. Collingwood in second, 6-2. Hawthorn are also 6-2, just a couple of percentage points separating the two. Gold Coast still in the top four. So they're still in a good spot when you think about it, because we do have a morass of teams at 5-3 and 4-4. So at 5-3, you've got Crows, Dogs, and Cats all on 20 points. GWS slipped to 8th after their beating today. They're probably lucky it wasn't a bigger margin, otherwise their percentage would have fallen a bit lower, but they've got a healthy gap on Fremantle and St Kilda, who are also 4-4. Essendon are 4-3, of course, because the ladder's awesome, and we won't have an efficient ladder till round 24. They are ahead of Port Adelaide, 87% for Port Adelaide in at 12th. Carlton back down to 13th, 108%. It's the most Carlton thing ever. My beloved Sydney Swans still in 14th despite winning today. Melbourne in 15th with 12 points, 81% too. Richmond, 8 games, 8 points. They're happy. They're doing that. North Melbourne, 1 and 7. And the West Coast, zip and 8. It's not good. Honestly, the bottom 2 should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, we all predicted them to be bottom 3 sides this season, but the fact that West Coast, percentage of 57, North Melbourne, dropping winnable games, it's not great.
Yeah, West Coast 18th and 18th for points scored and points against. So
I'm no expert, but that doesn't sound good.
No.
Averaging about 112 points conceded a game and only scoring about 60. It's not what you want. There's a few teams there that are worrisome with their scoring too. I know the Swans can't put together a big score at the moment. I don't think they've scored above 90 all season, so that's a concern for them. Fremantle as well, of course, but teams in the top 8, Gold Coast percentage is nice and healthy, as is Collingwood and Hawthorn. So the top 8 already getting a good percentage gap. I know it's only 8 games in, but that percentages could come very, very handy late in the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Gold Coast could find themselves in a position if they struggle to find some form, and it does go to the last game against Essendon. Imagine they have to win that game to make the finals.
And Essendon have to win that game to make top 4.
Yes.
Let's go, Marcus.
That's all right. Top 10 picks.
Last game of the season at home, the one team you absolutely would want to play is Essendon. It's like Liverpool winning the EPL title last week. They'd want to play Tottenham, and they did.
Oh, no, I don't know about you boys, but I'd rather a jammy Nick Cox pick 7 than a premiership. So
yeah.
Make of that what you will.
Yeah, and I think on that, we are done and dusted this week on AFL Today. If you enjoyed today's dual episode, because we did 2 in 1 technically. We did a little 8-minute stint here. Make sure you subscribe to the AFL Today channel on YouTube. Of course, thank you to everyone for jumping on the YouTube and Facebook Live as well, getting in the comments. That was a bunch of fun. But do follow us on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for more footy content all season long. It's AFL Today AU on all of those except for Facebook, which is Aussie Rules Today. Am I right, Leo?
That's correct.
Oh, please make sure you subscribe and start all of our shows on your podcast app. True Bloods, the boys will be up and about this week. Hold all tickets. I'm actually going to make a return this week after travelling all over the world and into the Riverina in the last few weeks. AFLW Today will be making a comeback in August. Cricket Today, I'm sure the World Test Championship is soon, boys, so you should be back doing something in the coming weeks.
A couple of IPL-related content as well.
Okay, I like it. And of course, a big thank you to our producer, Gerald, for doing this as always. He's the man who does all the magic behind the scenes here. We absolutely love him. But a big thank you to Leo.
Thank you, Alex.
And of course to you, Marcus.
Thanks, Alex.
It's been great. All our 3 teams winning. This has just been a great weekend. We should send Stats Guy on holiday every week. Also,
no negativity.
Shout out to Stats Guy. He deserves a couple of days off. He worked his ass off while I was away. I'll give him a little bit of a shout out. Good job, Stats man.
Yes.
Of course, we will catch you on Wednesday for the midweek madness. There's a couple of tribunal cases pending, so I'm sure it'll be a fun show. But we will catch you then on AFL Today.